Hello, and welcome back to Curlington Stories. If you're new here, welcome to you too. As per usual, we have another striking story to talk about. Now, whoever gets tired of relationship drama, I sure as hell don't. This stuff entertains me like a brand new episode of South Park. In this case, it's a matter of proper communication being completely ignored in pursuit of something that has never been available. And what I mean by this is this lesbian couple had it outlined that there was no future for them. Marriage was not on the table. One of them indicated that and made it very clear multiple times. But when the other party decided to propose, everything went to shit. Let's get into it. Am I wrong for refusing to marry a woman? I, 26F, am bisexual. I'm very confident in my sexuality and have a history of dating both. However, I've always known that when it comes to marriage, I want to be able to have biological children with my partner. For that reason, I see myself only marrying a man. In my past relationships with women, I have been very open about this. It's never posed an issue. However, about 3 years ago, I met my current girlfriend, 27F. It started as a hookup, then escalated to a situationship. Usually, whenever things get to that point, I like to make the disclaimer in terms of wanting to have biological children and not dating to marry. G seemed understanding, thanked me for being straightforward, and assured me that she is not looking for marriage either. We agreed to keep seeing each other casually, no strings attached. A couple months later, G suggests we start being exclusive. I remind her that I was not dating for marriage. She asked me if I'm seeing anyone else. I told her no. She said that it would make sense for us to be exclusive until our relationship has run its course naturally. I really liked her and wasn't interested in anyone else, so after making sure that there was no misunderstanding about marriage, I agreed and we started dating. I understood that this kind of relationship could get complicated. Hence, I was reluctant to bring her to meet my family, etc. But every time she would insist, assuring everything was fine and that she knew exactly what was at stake. My family loved her, and soon people started asking, when's the wedding? To which G would smugly respond that I didn't want to marry her. I laughed along, assuming it was a joke, but something started feeling off. I confronted her to make sure we were still on the same page. She told me, stop treating me like an effing child and constantly checking up on my feelings. She said to back off. We got into an argument about it, but the next day she apologized and asked me to just stop bringing it up so often. I explained I was just looking out for our feelings, but if it was overbearing, I would back off. We agreed, and I stopped bringing it up. We've been dating for almost 2 years. However, my mind hasn't changed in terms of marriage, though I stopped bringing it up as per her requests. I came home from work to my apartment covered in flowers and candles and her on one knee. Before she even got around to asking, I immediately said no and walked out fuming. She followed me. A fight ensued, screaming, crying, as she told me I was a huge bitch and an asshole for leading her on for 2 years. I explained that my feelings in terms of marriage hadn't changed, like biological kids, etc. She called me homophobic and a bigot and stormed out. We haven't spoken since. Am I wrong? I'm not gonna lie, calling somebody who's dated you for multiple years, who's clearly bisexual, homophobic is kind of crazy work. I'm not gonna lie, but people do say things that they don't mean in the heat of passion, so can't really fault her for that. Now let's talk about this. Is this person wrong? My answer is no. I mean, when you set boundaries in a relationship, you set expectations. It's almost like a contract, It's like, do you agree to these things? And if the person says no, then, well, you don't have a relationship and you move on. However, this person agreed, effectively saying that they understand that they could not possibly have a marriage with this other individual because they want biological kids, etc. It's not going to work. That's not what they're looking for. They're happy to date for some time, but at some point they expect the relationship to expire. And that's normal. I mean, many people treat relationships that way. Not everybody dates somebody to be with them forever, Sometimes people are looking for something different eventually, and that's fine if both people agree to that. In this scenario, they did. However, obviously G here, for some reason, didn't quite understand the terms and condition, I suppose. Either that, or I suppose she just really convinced herself that someday she would change her mind. Wishful thinking, being hopeful about an outcome that has been outlined as impossible. And you can't completely fault her for feeling that way, but at the end of the day, she can't be upset because she was told the terms. And though she chose to ignore them, it's really not the original poster's fault for how she felt or what happened at the end of this situation. Now, some people might also take things a step further with the original poster because there is some disagreement in the comments. Some are like, well, yeah, you did lead her on, which I firmly disagree with. When you communicate properly that you don't see a permanent future with this person, you can't really say that this person led you on when they were extremely transparent and communicated properly with you on their expectations. So that's completely false, unfortunately. However, a conflict of interest, I suppose, is the fact that she wants, biological children, she wants to be with a man, but she's made no effort to pursue a man during this time. I mean, that might lead somebody to believing that maybe you might have a foot in the door when trying to make an argument for her leading her on, because she's like, yeah, I'm gonna eventually get a man or whatever, but she doesn't make any indication that she was trying to do that. So maybe the other party might think, oh, maybe she's forgotten about that, maybe she's given up on that concept and it's not going to happen. But regardless, she should have that conversation again before she goes out and makes this elaborate move to propose to her. Make sure you're on the same page. Maybe she has changed her mind. You don't know, but you should confirm that. Don't look like surprised Pikachu when you realize after this that she hasn't changed her mind, and she's made it abundantly clear to you that she has no intention of changing her mind. And my only real criticism for the original poster is the fact that, she wants to have biological children, she wants to marry a man, etc., but did not make any sort of effort to pursue that as far as she stated here. And again, that's not really a true criticism. I mean, people are going to pursue what they want when they're ready to do so. Nobody has the authority to tell someone else when they're ready to pursue whatever it is that they want. So when I say that's a criticism, I mean, that's all I really got, and it really doesn't mean anything. Now, another major issue from G was that she basically silenced the original poster from talking about this issue earlier on in the relationship, so that she would forget about it. I don't know. It's very much wishful thinking. Granted, I feel like the original poster could have seen the warning signs. I imagine it was probably quite clear that G probably wanted a permanent relationship, which is why she wanted you to hush about it. She could have possibly identified that and then maybe decided, hey, this isn't going to work. I don't want to, hurt you, etc. Be compassionate, be considerate of the other person, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. We all do things that are emotionally charged. And that's precisely what has happened here. She let her emotions overtake logic, and that resulted in this terrible decision of proposing to somebody who said they'll never marry you. Get these extremely divisive comments. So out of curiosity, what would you have done if she didn't do this and blow up the relationship? Specifically, did your relationship have an endpoint where you would seek out a man to marry and have kids with? Exactly, it's really weird to me. Do you not choose who to marry based on how much you love a person? Why lead a woman on if your end goal was always with a man anyway? Also, I have a few lesbian mom friends. There are ways to have children that don't involve marrying a man. The weirdest part of me is the reaction to the proposal. I understand original poster doesn't want to get married to their partner if they are a woman, but after so long, you think you'd handle with a bit of grace. I agree with that too. But I will criticize this because this is just one person's view on relationships. Your review on relationships has nothing to do with someone else's view. You can view relationships however you see fit. If you want to have a relationship that has an expiration date, then power to you. You get to choose that, as long as you communicate that with the other person and they expect it and they know it and they agree to it because that's what they want too. G is the only one that misled anybody in this relationship by trying to pursue something permanent when they agreed on something temporary. There is nothing wrong with that. And if you can't see that, oh well, that's too bad. So this person, how is it leading them on if they're constantly reminding you that there's no future for the relationship? It's honestly a bit of an odd situation, some weird relational logic, but I don't know how original poster can be blamed for leading someone on when they've been 100% upfront about their intentions, however weird and nonsensical they may be. That's exactly what I'm saying. This person also agrees. She didn't lead her on. She told her from the get to what she wants and kept reminding her. Everything the girlfriend wanted A change original post reminded her that she had not changed her mind. The girlfriend got tired of getting reminded and knew where they stood. It's not on the original poster that she went into Fantasyland and redid their entire relationship without talking to her. And I'll look at this comment as well. You're not wrong, but you are naive. The writing was on the wall. If you keep dating women, next time refuse to go beyond casual, you'll find yourself in a similar conundrum again. I still disagree on putting blame on the original poster. You can want whatever you want from, if you want casual relationships or relationships that are exclusive, that are temporary, you can have that. That's all that really was they went from no strings attached to exclusive. Like, they couldn't see other people during this time. And if that's something that you want and you don't want it to last forever and you communicate that, you're welcome to do so. People might not agree with it, and that's fine. They don't have to. You just have to find somebody that does. And in this case, she thought she did. And that's the only part I'll agree with that's a little bit naive, because obviously this person did not want that, though they lied to you and acted as though they did, which again isn't the original poster's fault. Now, regarding other ways to have biological children, I thought of this as well, but then I kind of backtracked on it because I was like, well, you know, you could go to like a sperm bank or something. But I think she wants to have a biological child that is half of the person that she loves as well, not half of some stranger who she doesn't know. So I think suggesting that, like somebody else did, is a little bit unfair because that's not what she wants either. But anyway, that's really all I have to say about this. I want to know what you guys think, so please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. I'll see you guys next time.